Hey everybody. Um, how you doing? Um, so continuing my trying to upload content every day stretch, and it is the 27th, and tomorrow would be the last day, but it's leap year, so I got two more to do after this one. Today I want to talk about uh, something that I brought up in a previous video. It's the hotline to you with the number two and the letter U. It's a Colorado based company, right? So my clients that have to randomly drop UAs because they don't do them every day. You know, they they uh, they donate their urine to the process, and you know it's collected, it's sealed with a little sticker over the top of the little vial of pee, and you put it in the bag, you put the signatures that everyone signs, and fold that and put that in the other part of the bag because it's like a two pocket bag. Um, they have to call in this hotline and get told whether or not it's their day to have a urinalysis. And then they go to one of the approved places to do one, which most of the uh, justice entities in the area. They use Sentry, a program by Cordant, in order to track the UAs. And so the place that they drop the UAs at has to be Sentry approved. Now, people in Jefferson County, which is west of Denver, okay, Denver is its own county. Like there's the city and county of Denver, right? Aurora's in Arapahoe County. Uh, so like Lone Tree and stuff that is south is like part of Douglas County, and then on the west side you have Jefferson County, right? And then on the north side you have Adams County, and it's just a mess, right? So there's all these different counties. Jefferson County is like the strictest of all the different counties, and they call the municipal building where they do all their justice things, the Taj Mahal. And if you ever see the Jefferson County Justice Building, you know why. It looks big and evil, and it has little minarets. Like it's just scary looking, right? If you're going there and you did something wrong, you feel like, oh holy shit, they're gonna chop my head off, right? So in Jefferson County, when people get assigned to probation, their probation officers tell them that they can only do their UAs at specific places in Jefferson County. Like if they're across the entire metro area, all the way in Aurora, they're not allowed to go to one of the Century places in Aurora or in Denver. They have to go all the way back to Jefferson County. And there's one place that is open late, right? One place. It's called ICCS, and it's on Kenyon Street, right? It's right behind Casa Bonita, uh, of South Park fame, the place where people like to go for birthday parties and eat tacos and watch a live show where people dive into water. Yeah, Casa Bonita, right? So behind that is ICCS. Oh, and by the way, people in the Denver area, they actually call that place Cock Don't Eat It. So um, behind Cock Don't Eat It, ICCS is like this really poorly run place with people that are, you know, well, let's just say you get what you pay for, right? So um, they take people up until like 11 p.m. They used to do it all the way to midnight, but I'm thinking that people were like trying to get there at like 11:57 and then couldn't pee and then were getting angry because their urine test didn't count for the day before because it's calendar day style dating of things, and if they don't get in there by the time limit, then the urine drop doesn't count, right? So they moved it down to 11 p.m. so that everyone who gets in through the door, they're guaranteed that their piss will count because they will be done by midnight, as long as they drop it by midnight, because some people get stage fright. Anyways, the Hotline to You program. It is a circumvention of people's requirement by the justice system to call every day, right? And part of the reason why they have to call every day, even though they don't have to drop urine every day, some people, it's only once per month. So out of 30 calls, only one call actually produces an answer of yes, this is your day to be tested. So some people are like 4 times a week. That's like the most stringent I've seen. But uh, most people at the end of their tour through the justice system get to that 1 month where it's only one per month, right? So, um, part of the reason why people have to call every day is because it instills a responsibility in them, right? It's part of the uh, reformative process of the judicial system because it's not just about punishment, you know, it's about reforming people, right? And so if you have to call in every day, and if you don't call by a certain time, you get dinged, then, you know, there's this responsibility that you have been given. And it's very simple. Just call the phone number every day, put in your code, and listen, right? So if you don't do it by a certain time, and different counties treat it differently, you don't know if that was your day to drop a urine test, right? But there are still places open that will take your urine test, but you can't call the hotline because they're not going to tell you, which is bullshit, in my opinion. It's just setting people up for failure. Like, why doesn't the hotline go all the way until the last place you could drop a UA at is closed? I don't know, but it's like having an election and telling people that you only get to see who you're voting for up until like 5 p.m. And from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., you just have to like pick a box and then hope for the best because you don't get to know who you voted for. That's what this system is like. It's ridiculous. So there's still the available time to do a piss test from like say 5 p.m. if your county closes the call line at 5 p.m. till 11 p.m., right? So there are 6 hours before you could get in at that last spot on Kenyon Street, the ICCS place. 6 hours before you have to have had your call in, or you don't get to know if it's your day. And then, if it's not your day and you go to one of those places and try to just drop a urine test because you want to be safe, if you do that, they record that as something funny going on and they send that information back to your PO. It's ridiculous. It's like the whole system is just there to catch people tripping up and try to give them more time tacked on to the end of their probation experience because this is a responsibility that is very easily forgotten by a lot of people. And they're counting on that. They're counting on people getting complacent and forgetting that they have to call. So, Hotline to You is this service that decided to jump into this niche and say, you know what? You pay us $5 per month, and we will check the line for you. And then if it's your day for a piss test, we will actually text you and call you and try to warn you, hey, this is your day, right? And if it's not, you can still call into the Hotline to You number, and whatever your message was will be recorded, and you can actually hear what we got from them when we called your numbers in and made sure that you were safely checked, right? So you can still check with us by just calling into the Hotline to You, even after 5 p.m., in those evening hours where, you know, people still have bladders and people are still taking the money from people and collecting the urine from those bladders. So here's the thing. Is Hotline to You going against the intent of the entire system being reformative? Now, I'm not saying that they're illegal, right? It's a service and it's been there for a while, you know, and they probably thought it through and looked at all the available laws, but it is circumventing the intent of the program, which is to create more responsibility in people so that they do something day after day and they're held accountable to that, you know? So I thought about it and I was like, well, there's this other program that I was wondering why somebody hasn't like stepped in to exploit it. And that is the community service program in Arapahoe County, the one that's all the way to the east, with Aurora, the city of Aurora is in it. Okay. Arapahoe County, in their community service, has this program called Arapahoe County Toyland, right? So if you want to do your community service on your own terms, like just uh, do a project that you take home and you put in the hours when you can do it, they will give you a project. And these projects range from crocheting baby blankets and baby caps to making blankets to woodworking like uh, sawhorses, that like rocking horses, and making toy chests, like giant toy chests for kids and doll houses and shit. And they have the plans available to give you, but they want to first check to see that you have all the skills, right? And then, like the finished product, they grade it, and if it isn't up to par, they give it back to you and say, "Nope, we want this, 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 and this changed," and then you can turn it in and get your hours. And so, like, if you turned in two rocking horses, right, you would get like your full 48 hours worth of community service because, like, rocking horses are worth a lot of uh, effort on their scale of whatever. But if you were to turn in like a quilted blanket, you get like 10 hours, right? And so you choose whichever project you want to pick up from their little Toyland exchange thing. So here's my idea. Why not have somebody step in and be a middleman and say, you know what, I'm going to offer a service. If you have community service and they gave you a project of create rocking horses. I'm going to sell you some pre-made rocking horses that I've been making with the correct plans from them, right? And I just kept on making them, and I stockpiled them in my garage. And if you want one, you can buy it from me, at a reasonable rate that rich people could use to buy their way out of community service. You know, let's say $500 a rocking horse, right? So if you're rich and you want to get 48 hours worth of community service, you pay me $1,000, and then you can turn in my rocking horses, and we'll just call them yours, right? And you don't have to get one splinter. Does that program sound like it should be legit? You know, it probably would be legal for somebody to sell wooden rocking horses with the same pattern that the justice system uses. You know, I'm not saying that they should promote the fact that they're circumventing that you should have put your hard uh, blood, sweat, and tears you know, into this rocking horse. But, you know, there's nothing illegal about me selling you a wooden rocking horse that is up to spec by some third party specification, right? But it feels wrong, you know? That's not the point. The point is you're supposed to put the hours in because it's supposed to be, something that is reformative. You create something in order to give it to this program, and then you get something out of that. It's character building. But my idea for selling uh, toys of penance so that people can get out of their responsibilities, it could exist in the same way that Hotline to You would. And I think that this is a good thought experiment as far as like apples to apples. What would it be like if we just kind of sold people the way to get out of each and every little thing that they had to do as far as the hoops that they jump through for the justice system when they do something wrong? You know, soon we're going to have like surrogates for community service cleanup, like how Boy Scouts do Eagle Scout projects. Uh, you can do hundreds of hours on your own, or do one weekend where you pay a whole bunch of people to come help you out, and then you get all the hours that those people put in. You know, I mean, they're going to get the same amount of work done, so why not? Why not have surrogates for the work? Is there something to the work that's good for people? Oh, so I spent 18 minutes on my own ramble, but I'm going to get to everybody's comment. Poseidon wants to know why is MSNBC so desperate to resurrect Biden's corpse? So what if he wins South Carolina and Trump will win it in November? Ooh, ouch. Um, you know, at this point, I think that they want Biden to take South Carolina, just like Kucinich took just a little bit of the pie that Trump could have had, because they at that point they were trying to make it so that just Trump didn't win it. You know, uh, of course they wanted somebody else to win the Republican nomination, and they didn't think Kucinich could win fucking thing. But uh, in the end, it wasn't enough to stop him. And I think in Biden's case, he was the best bet to have somebody take South Carolina so Bernie doesn't take it. You know, they're trying to force a brokered convention in every state counts at this point because Bernie got a lot of overkill as far as the votes in Nevada, and he looks fucking unstoppable. He could still take South Carolina. We don't know, right? It's looking like Biden with polling, but Bernie fever has swept the country. So let's see. As far as like why would MSNBC like Biden? Uh, Not Bernie. That's that's what it is. He's not Bernie. Uh, Poseidon says they can't steal the nomination from Bernie 2 cycles in a row. Well, they can try. If Bernie wins a majority of like all the delegates, then there's no way they can. You know, but if he doesn't, if he only wins the plurality, if like uh, Buttigieg jumps up and wins a whole bunch of states, and Biden gets a whole bunch of states, and he doesn't make it over that 50% line, they can still try to force a brokered convention. And if that happens, Bloomberg, having won no states, could be the compromise candidate that the superdelegates propose, and then they just try to convince a couple of the other delegates that show up, hey, let's all make a coalition with Bloomberg. I think that's what they're wanting, you know, because they get ad revenue from from Bloomberg more than the other candidates because he can spend as much of his own money as he wants. But yeah, I'd say at this point, I'm just hoping that it doesn't get to that, and that one candidate gets a flat out majority, and no other candidate is really within reach. So we just have you know a nomination, and we're done with it. I'm hoping. Poseidon says their white knight Bloomberg failed miserably, and he continued to do so. 2 debates in a row, he was just getting skewered. My goodness. Um, I mean, I think of Bloomberg's kids having to watch that, like, wow. The Bloomberg name for generations to come will be remembered as, oh, that's the guy that they got skewered on national TV by like every other candidate. Let's see. Mitch Crane says, I feel like probation is a racket meant to keep people in the system perpetually. It's a job security for the people running it. It sets people up for failure. I would tend to agree, Mitch. And thank you for keeping on topic with what I was talking about. I know other people, they come with their questions about politics and whatnot. But you were listening. And I appreciate that. um, I especially don't like it that there are for profit prisons that also run for profit reentry services. So, like probation officers, parole officers, social workers, and whatnot that work with people on parole and probation. And if they set people up for failure, they can remand them back to jail and make sure those jails are as full as they can be. And as soon as somebody finishes out their jail or prison term, and they make it back to reentry services, uh, reentry services can just pick a different person that has met the criteria for remand, and then fill that spot. And so their prisons can have just a ready-made pool of clientele. And I don't think that those two should be connected in any way. I think that they should be completely different companies with no uh, crosstalk, no table talk as far as what they're doing because it creates a conflict of interest, a definite conflict of interest in what they're doing. So Poseidon wants to know. He says, "How panicked are the Dems in Colorado that the GOP will keep the Senate and retake the House from Pelosi? In DC, they're going apeshit." Um, I will say that Hickenlooper, being the former governor who was term limited, going against Cory Gardner is their best bet, especially because he was on the national debate stage, getting his name out there, as a possible presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. When he dropped out and decided to just run against Cory Booker, he did us all a solid as far as like the state of Colorado's Democratic Party and the whole country's Democratic Party. You know, he has taken one for the team, and instead of being one of the guys who just fails to run for president, he decided, I'm going to put up a good fight, and I'm actually going to get on the ballot to fight the incumbent senator. Although I will say that uh, Senator Gardner's office is very projectable as far as you know protests that like to project things on the side of buildings go. It was very projectable. I enjoy that he's a good punching bag in that respect. Plus, he didn't go apeshit in the police response to people doing sit-ins at his office. You know, he was a trooper in that respect. Poseidon says, "Why can't crazy Hillary shut up? She's accusing Bernie of being a Russian puppet." So was Bloomberg, wasn't he, at the last debate? And just because another country would prefer a different candidate doesn't exactly mean that that's a bad thing. You know, it just means that they think that that candidate would be able to negotiate better with them. To make arrangements that are fruitful for both sides. You know, Mitch Green says, "I'm the real MVP." Yes, you are. And Biden says he keeps the whole circus afloat. Um, okay. You're kind of like Viagra in that respect. All right, guys. Proctor Hawk just dropped in right as I'm saying goodbye. Sorry, Proctor. I'm really, really, really fucking tired. I got some appointments in the morning. Take care. Good night.